All right, we begin with the latest chapter in the Hunter Biden saga, and it's getting thicker. The president's son is set to be deposed under oath today in the defamation lawsuit brought by the owner of the Delaware repair shop where Hunter left his so-called laptop from hell.
John Paul Mac Isaac is seeking $1.5 million, claiming that Hunter Biden damaged his reputation by lying about whether the infamous computer belonged to him.
That's right. Mac Isaac reported the contents of the laptop to the FBI when he discovered damning photos, along with messages that raised suspicions of influence peddling involving the then Vice President Joe Biden. Hunter's deposition later today will be recorded, though it's unclear whether video or a transcript will be made public. And you've got to figure the very first question that the computer guy's lawyer is going to ask Hunter is, hey, is this your laptop? Do you remember dropping it off? And don't be surprised if Hunter just goes, I don't remember, because he's probably going to say that.
That's usually an answer.
I don't remember.
Right.
I was using drugs at the time.
Well, that's what he did to ABC. That's what he said over it. Yeah, I really don't know. When all you have to do is look and see the emails and laptops. I'm wondering if Johnny Paul Mac Isaac, 4 names, 1 man, and 1 very distinctive hat, is he has any footage of him in there.
Oh, that's
It'd be
a good
very
point.
interesting to see if he dropped it off and if there was some
That's a
footage
good
there.
point.
And then you look at what's involved. And, of course, there's a counter lawsuit from Hunter Biden's team to sue him for unjustly publicizing what was in the laptop. But I don't think they have much of a case there, but they've been quite aggressive with him.
You do hear in cases a lot, I cannot recall.
Right.
I cannot recall, which maybe he will say, and maybe he really can't because he was on drugs and doesn't remember.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, one of the things that the computer guy's lawyers asked Hunter to bring is bring any unredacted receipts you might have regarding payments to our shop. Because in addition to dropping off that laptop, he also dropped off later a hard drive and asked for the contents to be transferred. So there's the guy today, so it's going to be kicking off later today, the defamation lawsuit, Hunter Biden versus that guy.
Well, the story keeps getting bigger and bigger. Last night, Gary Shapley, he's the IRS whistleblower who was investigating Hunter Biden, sat down with Bret Baier last night, and he said he was frustrated because the team was hindered when they were trying to investigate Hunter Biden. And he said, the reason I'm coming out with this information, every taxpayer deserves to be treated fairly. And he said, in this case, it was not. Politics got involved.
Yeah, no question about it. He says we weren't allowed to look at his dad. David Weiss told him, and he memorialized the conversation that he was not, he wasn't the decider when it comes to how this guy, how this investigation would move forward. He also said, and he actually memorialized this too, that he tried to bring it forward to Washington, D.C., and Matt Graves said no. I tried to bring this case forward to Los Angeles and prosecute it criminally in Los Angeles. Even the New York Times confirmed. They said no. So when Merrick Garland comes out and says David Weiss was in total control, he doesn't know how anybody could have stopped this investigation. Well, just watch Bret Baier on Special Report last night, and Merrick Garland could have been informed exactly what happened and how it could have been stopped. David Weiss did answer an email from Jim Jordan where he said, is this true? He says, I was allowed to investigate freely. So somebody's lying. Here is David Shapley last night.
As we moved closer to the election, it just seemed like they kept putting it on the back burner, and they eventually didn't allow us to do that search warrant, even though the legal requirements to execute that search warrant were met. Transitioning into another search warrant was on a storage unit in Northern Virginia. The prosecutors initially were supportive of it, and an affidavit was drafted the night of December 8th, 2020 to go forward for approval. Eventually, the prosecutors decided they didn't support it. I asked if in 30 days, if that storage unit wasn't accessed, and that was the deadline for the document request that was served on that day, then we can execute the search warrant. And he agreed to that. And no sooner had gotten off the phone with David Weiss had we learned that the prosecutors were informing defense counsel of that storage unit and the evidence that existed there. So it completely ruined our chance to access those unfettered. We weren't allowed to ask questions about Dad. We weren't allowed to ask about the big guy. We weren't allowed to include certain names and document requests and search warrants. There were definitely hindrances that I've never seen before in my 14 years, concerning this investigation that didn't allow us to follow through on investigation of any other individual, to include President Biden.
All the stuff that he said last night was so shocking, and it goes back to what we have been talking about since October of last year, when the Washington Post had that revelation about how the FBI and the IRS agents had enough to charge Hunter Biden. Well, as it turns out, Gary Shapley was actually in that meeting. It was the U.S. Attorney's Office in Wilmington, and David Weiss said, look, I am not the person who's going to be the decider on this. He said because Hunter Biden was living in Washington, D.C. at the time of the most serious charges, that apparently it would have to go through the U.S. Attorney for Washington, who is Matthew Graves, who's appointed by Biden. And Matthew Graves would not allow him to charge in his district. So Weiss said he had known for months the Graves' office rejected filing the charges against Biden there. Graves' spokesman, though, says that Weiss had the authority to charge wherever he wanted to. He didn't need authority. You got Merrick Garland, who says that Weiss was the decider. And then you've got Jim Jordan in that letter, Brian, that you referred to. Mr. Weiss himself says that he had the authority to charge wherever he wanted. And so this is why people hate government. Because there's so much buck passing going on here. One guy says, I couldn't do it. That guy could do it. That guy told me I couldn't do it. And now they're all pointing fingers at each other saying, David Weiss could have done it all along.
And we kept hearing that Hunter Biden should have been charged with more crimes.
Yeah.
And he laid it out last night. He
crimes.
said he should have been charged for tax evasion for 2014. He made $400,000 with Burisma, the Ukrainian gas company, and he never paid taxes on it, according to Gary Shapley. And he said he should have been charged with false tax returns for 2018 and 2019. Remember, your parents always said, hold on to your taxes for 7 years, exactly, because once that 7 years is passed, the statute of limitations, they can't charge you with any, they can't go back and look at your taxes. That's exactly what happened here.
And by the way, so we paid tax $100,000 on $1.5 million. He didn't pay him back himself. Gary Shapley was asked by Brett, so how much did he make, and where did he ever pay it in taxes? Listen.
Based on all of the financial records that we did find, you know, they've been analyzed. And it was around $8.3 million he received. Came from China, from CEFC, came from Ukraine, and from Romania. In the 2014 and 2015 tax years, when the Burisma money was coming in, I mean, to this day, there's still around $400,000 of unreported income from Burisma in 2014. Hunter Biden was told by his partner Eric Schwerin that he needed to amend his returns, and he never did. So D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office declining those charges, David Weiss requesting special counsel authority and being denied, and then the statute of limitations then expires in November or December of 2022.
And only Rob Warren. Yeah, it's amazing. He gets away with this. By the way, the president has lost the talking point, those fat cats that pay their fair share. And he also lost his gun talking point because his son got away with it. And by the way, his son's not even close to have paid what he should have paid. And maybe you too, about what you guys have earned and where this money is actually hidden. There's probably more than 8.3. Some say it's around $17 million. And yet he's crying poverty to not pay for his love child down south over in Baltimore.
But Brian, you know, he has not gotten away with it yet, because while his attorney has negotiated with the Department of Justice, a federal judge still has to sign off on this plea deal and also on the his tax deal.
And who's this judge going to be? Do we know yet?
We know exactly who it is. Somebody who was appointed by Donald Trump. Her name, she's a federal judge in Wilmington, Mary Ellen Norica. She's going to hear the case on July the 26th, and she can approve or reject it. And last night on Jesse Waters' show, they had Eileen O'Connor. She ran the DOJ tax division from 2001 to 2007. She wrote an op-ed yesterday in the Wall Street Journal that talked about how this judge should reject it. And she was basing it, she had read the testimony that Mr. Shapley and another unnamed whistleblower gave to the House Ways and Means Committee. Here she is talking about why this is a deal that this judge has got to say, nope, not gonna pass it.
When I got to page 95, my jaw dropped. That's where the testimony specifies that as early as June 2021, the prosecution team understood that because crimes must be prosecuted in the district where they occur, Attorney General Garland's failure to make U.S. Attorney Weiss a special counsel guaranteed that Hunter Biden would not be prosecuted for his tax crimes. I want to throw a bouquet to Special Agent Shapley for bringing this forward. This is so important that malfeasance in the administration of justice be brought forward and that Congress be able to perform its oversight function and do something about it. Attorney General Garland testified under oath to Congress in March that he had given U.S. Attorney Weiss all the authority he needed to do whatever he needed to do, wherever he needed to do it. There has been no documentation at all of Attorney General Garland's assertion that he gave Weiss authority.
Think about the audacity.
So let's hope she pulls the plug on it.
Let's think about the audacity of Hunter Biden showing up at that dinner for Modi of India. Think about the audacity of Hunter Biden after this election doing a book tour about his story, knowing that some responsible reporter is going to ask about your laptop. He doesn't care. And then he's out there flying around in a private jet trying to weasel out of paying for his kid that he had at a wedlock or in between trysts while writing off his sex clubs. I've never seen such a guy who feels he's impervious to all type of indictments, who's got absolutely no conscience. But I think which is more telling is that the family was counting on him to provide the money to finance their lifestyles and their multiple homes, and the money that seems to be gone at this moment or hard to recover. Very interested to see if any of the documents found in the Biden family possession were anything to do with the countries in which they were doing business.
Well, the Republicans are looking. Let's see if they find anything. Listen, you know, the IRS...
Well, Robert Hur's looking at it.
The IRS is planning to hire 20,000 new employees over the next 2 years. Let's hope a lot of them are just like this guy who sat down for testimony in front of House Ways and Means Committee and then sat down with Brett. Obviously, this is something that everybody's talking about. It's in the New York Times. It's in the Washington Post. It was a question that Stephen Nelson of the New York Post asked the president yesterday when he was trying to get on the chopper. And the president, I don't think, liked the question. Watch this.
President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message? Were you sitting there? Were you involved?
No, I wasn't, and I don't know.
Were you?
No.
Well, you can be as angry as you want, but your son said you was there. He's calling your son a liar. I thought he was the smartest guy you know, and your son has done nothing wrong.
This is the same guy when he was vice president. Contacted the government in Ukraine and said, you have to fire this prosecutor that's going after Burisma. My son is on the board, or I am not going to give you the, what was it, $1 billion? $1 billion and your taxpayer money. I will not give you American money if you don't fire this prosecutor. Within 6 hours, the prosecutor is fired.
Bragged about it.
James Comer is the House Oversight Committee chairman. He's the guy who's trying to put all the pieces together. He calls them a crime family. He's going to tell us what crimes they've uncovered so far. Coming up very shortly here on Fox.
It feels like they feel like they're above the law. Especially rub it in your face. I'm going to go to the state dinner.
Unbelievable.
I was just charged, and I'm going to the state dinner.
With the Attorney
General Merrick Garland. How do you think Merrick Garland felt? Maybe he didn't care, but he had the chance to run into Hunter Biden face to face.
I don't know what Merrick Garland knows. Either they insulated him from these decisions below, or he just flat out lied at the press conference last week.
Well, I wonder what Hunter Biden would say to Merrick Garland. Would it be like, hey,
thanks.
by the way, yeah, exactly. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.